You cannot trespass someone from public property that is open to the public while they are conducting legitimate business or engaged in activity that aligns with the mission of the facility unless they commit a crime. That a person found in violation of a rule may feel inclined to remain on the property does not thereby transfer the rule into criminal provisions. An unconstitutional act is not a law. It is in legal contemplation as inoperative, as though it had never been passed.
Mr. Cordova, thank you so much for coming forward and reminding us of our responsibilities to the Constitution.
It appears you think you're an expert on how the courts run here in Englewood. Well, you're not, and you should contemplate not talking just to hear yourself talk with the goal of sounding important. I don't ever want to hear you say that Jefferson is not doing his job ever again. Do I make myself crystal clear on that?
Hey guys, I'm from Metro Audits, aka the Mile High Auditor. We're here at Englewood City Hall. Gonna do some public comment. Let's go see how this goes. Went out to the bathroom, guys, and I found someone. Look, who's that? This is gonna be funny. We're gonna surprise her. I had a feeling she'd be here. She's been working on a lot of Englewood stuff. Hey, do I have any books hanging or anything like that?
No, you're good.
Okay.
But you're live.
I know, I saw it.
Yeah, probably. Because that's my spot.
Oh, that's still your spot?
Of course it is.
Justice for all.
First up is Christopher Cordova, here to address council.
I printed up something for each of you. Can I hand this to you?
Yeah, do you mind handing it to City Clerk?
Sure. All right, so I have a lot to say, so I'm going to be speaking quickly, so please bear with me.
And just your name and your address, Mr. Cordova?
Hi, my name's Christopher. I'm not going to give my address. I'm here today to speak on the unsanitary bodily hygiene policy and the standards of behavior. This policy violates the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution in two respects. First, the policy improperly makes a personal attribute such as body odor a determinative factor in the city facility staff's enforcement of the policy. Because the policy's prohibition of offensive body odor is in no way restricted to instances of actual material disruptions, which are incompatible to city facility functions, the restriction impinges upon individual liberty and sanctions that which may not be sanctioned merely on the basis of body odor. Highlighted in yellow, quote, creating a nuisance to or impeding use of a city facility by others, end quote, body odor bugs. Highlighted in pink, quote, may result in warning, immediate removal, and or removal/exclusion up to 90 days, end quote. This rule should be void for vagueness because the only indication within the policy as to what constitutes a nuisance is, quote, body odor bugs. Moreover, the policy neither contains nor refers to identifiable standards, thereby failing to provide adequate notice to citizens wanting or in some cases needing to conduct business in an Englewood city facility. Because this rule impinges upon individual liberty in an arbitrary and discriminatory manner without cause, justification, or reason, this rule violates the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. Secondly, since the city manager, Shawn enacted this rule with the explicit intention of restricting persons with body odor access to Englewood city facilities, such action violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Highlighted in blue, quote, these standards of behavior protect the rights and safety of visitors, employees, and volunteers, end quote. It does nothing of the sort. To the contrary, this policy serves to violate the rights of visitors. Highlighted in green, quote, warning, removal, and exclusion for violation of these standards are supplemental to all other actions authorized by law, such as criminal charges, end quote. A violation of this rule is not criminal by nature, yet paragraph 2 of the purpose statement implies that failure to comply with the rule could result in criminal charges, presumably to arrest uncooperative individuals pursuant to the criminal trespass law. The difficulty with this conclusion is that CRS 18-4-504 third-degree criminal trespass requires a voluntary act distinct from violation of this rule. You cannot trespass someone from public property that is open to the public while they are conducting legitimate business or engaged in activity that aligns with the mission of the facility unless they commit a crime. That a person found in violation of a rule may feel inclined to remain on the property does not thereby transfer the rule into criminal provisions. Basically, what this is an attack on homelessness. Any law or rule made by government must be narrowly tailored and viewpoint neutral. The rule is clearly not viewpoint neutral as it discriminates against the homeless for having body odor, something in which they have no control over as they are incapable of taking regular showers and having access to deodorant. Furthermore, what is offensive to some may not be offensive to others. In the 60s, some people found Black people to be offensive. But I think we can all agree that banning someone from public property based on the color of their skin, something in which they have no control over, just because some may be offended by their presence, is immoral and unlawful. Just as banning a homeless man with body odor, something he has no control over, just because some may be offended by his presence, is immoral and unlawful. So not only is this a violation of a homeless man or woman's civil rights protected under the 14th Amendment to conduct business on public property, but the city manager, Shawn drafted the standards of behavior policy with such generality that it risks ensnarement of anyone who walks through the door of an Englewood City facility in a net designed for others. This gives government too much power and discretion. If a public employee doesn't like someone or doesn't like their conduct, even if it's lawful, all they have to do is say, "You have body odor." And lastly, this is in violation of the First Amendment. In the 1943 case of Martin v. City of Struthers, the Supreme Court ruled the First Amendment includes freedom to receive speech as well as the freedom to speak. So we have a First Amendment right to access the library downstairs, body odor or not. I will end this with the 1886 case of Norton v. Shelby County. An unconstitutional act is not a law. It confers no rights. It imposes no duties. It affords no protection. It creates no office. It is in legal contemplation as inoperative, as though it had never been passed. That's all I got.
Mr. Cordova, thank you very much for your time tonight. Any questions? Member Wright.
Hello, Mr. Cordova. Thank you for being here. You gave a Colorado Revised statute. Could you please repeat that to me?
Sure. It is CRS 18-4-504.
18-4-0.
504.
504. Okay. There's a reason you're here this evening. Can you give me an example when this standard of behavior has been enacted? Do you have a name, and can you tell me what happened, please?
To my knowledge, I don't know. I know that the policy has been in existence for a little over a year. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's signed
So
here
I
October
don't
20th.
know of it being enforced, but I just want to let you guys know about this. I know you all are very well versed in the Constitution since you all swore an oath to it, but I encourage you to do your due diligence, look up the 14th Amendment to refresh your memory,
Right.
because I'm trying to help you guys, and I'm trying to help the homeless. If you guys were to enforce this, it could cost the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars in civil rights lawsuits.
Mm-hmm. And then one more question. You said Martin versus...
Yeah, that is the 1943 case of Martin versus City of Struthers, Struthers.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate you
All
coming.
right, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Cordova, for coming tonight. I'm just curious on this. You've only highlighted one here in yellow. Or is this the only one you think meets or actually violates these constitutional provisions? Or
Yeah, that's the only one that I saw.
okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right, with no further questions, Mr. Cordova, thank you for your time tonight.
Thanks.
Up next is Regan Benson here to address council regarding city resources. Good evening, Ms. Benson. If you could just state your name and your address or cross streets.
You already know me, it's Regan Benson. This coming week, Thursday to be exact, there's an individual on the Englewood court docket with 25 separate municipal cases. I see you all looking down. It's crazy to even the most sane person what Englewood is trying to accomplish by criminalizing homelessness. It's pure insanity to even contemplate that this is a good use of taxpayer resources. I want to put it on the record that I expect to see your elected judge fully compensated above market value. Why? Because Joe Jefferson is by far a commodity to justice, not a revenue stream to justice, Mr. Ward. That's right. The courts are not a revenue stream for this city. And I don't ever want to hear you say that Jefferson is not doing his job ever again. Do I make myself crystal clear on that? If I hear you chastising Judge Jefferson again on his job performance, I'm going to be back on the record every single time setting you straight because you don't know what you're talking about. And it appears you think you're an expert on how the courts run here in Englewood. Well, you're not, and you should contemplate not talking just to hear yourself talk with the goal of sounding important. I've witnessed and have been a very active spectator of this court system in recent years, while working with the unhoused population to meet goals, and we've been very successful because of Judge Jefferson. The Englewood courts has become a well-oiled machine. And that costs money, Mr. Ward. Justice costs money. And this city, in its arrogant and inhumane quest to criminalize the homeless, is costing taxpayers big bucks. How about you quit passing ordinances designed to target the homeless? Have you ever thought about that cost savings? No, you haven't, because your allegiance is to force to solve homelessness. It's ludicrous and it's not working, Mr. Lewis. I'm speaking to you as well. Judge Jefferson is head over heels in comparison to other municipal judges in, number one, his demeanor and real understanding of issues plaguing a community that is purely a public health crisis. Number two, he's ensuring due process for the accused, and that is saving this city from very costly litigation. Number three, this city government and its voting populace expect the courts to solve homelessness through criminalization by way of a judge and a part-time court navigator. Does anyone at all understand those implications? You should be at the very least increasing the court's budget on this far-fetched utopia and paying a good judge good money to meet those demands. Give the man his raise in the same equitable fashion that you've given other department heads in this city that apparently only serve as revenue generators to this council. Next, I want to touch on what I've put on the record here in the past, specific to your cozy and unethical arrangement you have with eArts. There's no question now what this majority council is doing with that contract arrangement, and it's rooted 100% in nepotism to further personal relationships and agendas with the church. Miss Nunnenkamp, a vote you were required to recuse yourself from, allowing eArts, a nonprofit, free use of taxpayer-owned facilities that they get to generate revenue off of for the purpose of holding church that you attend and promote. Here's the answer to attempt to remedy this situation, one that I'm certain the city attorney will appreciate. Englewood City Charter, Chapter 11, Code of Ethics, challenges for conflict of interest. Study up and pay close attention to the words, any person may challenge. That's any person. Next, I want to touch on Englewood's partnership and $1.4 million contribution to taxpayer dollars to Tri-City's homeless conglomerate that's meeting out of the public view. I emailed Mike Sangren to ask him if I could go to your policy working group meetings, and he told me no. You're making policy behind closed doors. We know how government does this to get around transparency of shuffling hundreds of millions of
Ms.
dollars
Benson, your
in
5 minutes are up.
one-time funds.
Ms. Benson, thank you very much for your time
Stop
tonight. Members of council, do you have any questions for Ms. Benson? Seeing none, Ms. Benson, thank you for your time tonight. And with that, that concludes scheduled public comment. We'll move to unscheduled public comment. We have 5 speakers.
A lot of material covered tonight and a lot of passion in what people brought forward. So I just want to thank each and every one of you who did come forward to speak tonight, to share your thoughts and your opinions, to give direction of how you think think things should go with council votes, even if, you know, those votes don't end up being aligned completely with where you're at. It's just amazing to me to see that we have a community of members who continue to come forward and share their thoughts. I probably will not go through every single person that spoke tonight, but I did want to make a few pointed comments from a few speakers. Mr. Cordova, thank you so much for coming forward and reminding us of our responsibilities to the Constitution. I would certainly hope that our standards of behavior that are posted are not implemented in such a way that it would ever purposely discriminate against someone who is homeless. I understand your concerns of body odor. What I know of our city staff so far in my short tenure is that the intention would not be to discriminate, but maybe rather to just make sure that we have environments that are safe and welcoming to all members that are coming into our city buildings. But I do appreciate your caution to us, and I think full council appreciates that.
Hey, I'll give you a fist bump because my, yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. And like I said, don't take my word for it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, no, we'll have,
definitely look
yeah,
into that.
we'll look
It's
into
all on
it
the
for
record.
sure. All right.
Appreciate it, man.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
even if it's not, you guys aren't going to enforce it. It doesn't sound like you're going to. If you're not going to enforce it, you should just get rid of it anyways. Then.
No, I think you made a good point, so appreciate
Thank
it.
you. She went outside, she said.
Okay.
Told me to tell you.
Have a smoke. She's pretty fired up. I don't blame her. Let's look at this stupid shit. So this is what Christopher was talking about tonight. This is what I continue to talk about. I'm not sure that you were fully correct in giving them a firm answer that this is the only part that well, you did say from what you know
Yeah.
as being unconstitutional, because this is full of some outrageous horse shit.
Well, I'm going to be back on the next one to see if they took it down. And so
Oh, they're not taking,
I'll just be here every single time then. And
will you?
oh yeah,
That'll
and
be
actually,
good.
the city council, they're the mayor. What's not the mayor, but the other mayor?
City manager is Shawn Lewis.
No, the mayor guy. He's on the
Othoniel
council.
Sierra,
I don't know what his name is. He's got the beard. It's like the
Joe
deputy mayor
Anderson.
or something like that.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, pro tem. That's what it is. He came out here and shook my hand. He said, "Hey, you made some really good points. I agree with you." So I struck a chord with him at least. I think I struck a chord with that other lady up there. So
Right.
hopefully they'll talk about it and just take it out of there. I didn't see anything that I saw was unconstitutional, but if there is more stuff, I mean, you're welcome to address it.
Well,
but I'd like to
addressing it with
also-
council is not the issue. Addressing it with Shawn Lewis is the issue, because Shawn Lewis drafted this and signed it. Council gave no approval or not for this. This isn't a council thing. This is a city business thing. So I guess at best, you could get council to have more discussion about it, to take it to a vote, but they don't have the authority or the position to tell Shawn Lewis to take that down.
Okay.
You see?
Right.
So really the crux here is, why did Shawn Lewis, of course, probably, we don't know, with the help of the city attorney, draft this horse shit when he took this job? Warning, removal, and exclusion for violation of these standards are supplemental to all other actions authorized by law, such as criminal charges. This is shit. But what they have done is gone back to municipal code, and I'm going to cite some code. I'm going to put it on my community tab. They've created laws that target this behavior of standards, okay? So that's how they're getting away with enforcing it. Are you listening carefully? Are you enforcing this? You're not enforcing it? So do you go to the park and tell somebody, I don't want you here, you need to leave, you're trespassing? No. You don't do that? That's good. Okay. Tier 1, inappropriate behavior may result in warning, immediate removal, and or removal exclusion up to 90 days. Disruptive activity and behavior, this alone is unconstitutional, such as noise, music, and voices. So your voice can be considered a disruptive activity depending on who that's arbitrarily going to apply to or try to enforce. He could right now tell me that he doesn't like the tone of my voice or the level that I'm speaking. And he could tell me to tone it down or I'm going to be in violation of these standards. No, you don't get to interfere with my speech. This is what he honed in on tonight: unsanitary bodily hygiene, creating a nuisance to or impeding use of a city facility by others. How can you impede the use of a facility by others with your body odor? Obscene, profane, lewd, threatening, abusive, or disparaging language. Yeah, fuck you, fucker. How's that for disparaging language? What do you think? Thank you. Slurs, epithets, gestures, and behaviors directed at another. Yeah, thanks for not being one of those assholes in your department that's doing this shit to people.
You're welcome.
It's out of control.
Yes, it is.
I know not all of you are assholes, but you've got a whole group of you that are, and making things really fucking ugly for a lot of people.
Have a good night.
Yeah, good night, Roberts.
Yep, take it easy.
You too. Bye. All right, guys, so that was that. We'll see if they're going to take that standards of behavior rule out of there. I have a feeling they're probably not going to. I think I struck a chord with some of those council members in there. But you know, if they're not going to get rid of it, then we'll just be back. We'll see what happens, guys. Thanks for coming in. I got to see Big Sis again. Haven't seen her in a while, so I had a feeling she was going to be here. So we were here actually on unrelated things, but we were here. So anyways, guys, thanks for coming in. Appreciate you. And remember, forced patriotism is the opposite of freedom.